Like, seriously? This is proper conduct for the legal sector? That's interesting. Anyway, so for you to come into a space, and to come into the space of the legal sector, your conduct cannot be obscene and offensive, and you expect that you'll be admitted. It doesn't work like that. Your comments on social media, your ex parte, and then when somebody has behaved in a certain way, we say we cannot call the person to the bar. I was surprised at the furor that rose up concerning the call to the bar of certain people, and I thought, like, seriously, this is proper conduct for the legal sector? That's interesting. Anyway, so for you to come into a space and to come into the space of the legal sector, your conduct cannot be obscene and offensive, and you expect that you'll be admitted. It doesn't work like that. Your comments on social media, your ex parte communications for judges is extremely critical. I was listening to our Lady Chair on ensuring that you have the competencies to be in the place that you are put. And I was reminding myself of recent conversations when people would say to me, you have held up, you have done well in this onslaught. And I realized that what has held me up is the assurance of competence. Simply, no decision that I have made in my role as Chief Justice or in my capacity as President of a panel of the Supreme Court has come from anything but a knowledge of law. No matter how many noises are made, the law is the law. And the only answer one can give to all the hand-waving is the legal answer, unless we want something else. But I am quite sure that Ghana as a society is not looking for Chief Justices that bend and give them something other than law. And therefore, here I am. Everyone gets the law.
That the processes of court had been set through the legal department of Parliament, and this had been brought to the notice of the Speaker. He bantered extensively on this information with the plaintiff on the floor of Parliament. And the Speaker's only reason for choosing to quarrel with the summons from the Supreme Court, an application for injunction to restrain him from ruling on a matter premised on interpretation of Article 97(1)(g, was that as Speaker, he was only supposed to be served with court processes on Monday. This is an unfortunate interpretation of the first column of the circular referred to, because this circular provides for the Speaker of Parliament to be served personally on Mondays and through the legal department of Parliament on any day. At a time that from the official records of Parliament presented to the Supreme Court, the Speaker knew that a contrary interpretation was being placed on the same constitutional provision and that the Supreme Court's jurisdiction had been invoked to provide the correct interpretation. By reason of law, there could be no by-election to replace these elected representatives between 17th October 2024 and 7th January 2025. So, 7th January 2025. 2025. So these Ghanaians would have been left without a voice and representation in Parliament from 18th October 2024 until 7th January 2025, when the 9th Parliament can be duly constituted in Ghana. This exceptional circumstance, arising from the outcome of the ruling, weighed on the mind of the Supreme Court to grant an order directing a stay of execution of the ruling of the Speaker on 17th October 2024. Second, the effect of this ruling would be that the salaries, allowances, and other emoluments of these members of Parliament would have had to stop being paid immediately. They would have had to vacate their offices in Parliament and cease functioning on any committee of Parliament that they were serving on. If any of them was a minister or deputy minister and had been appointed as such by reason of being members of Parliament, the ruling that they had vacated their seats could have brought those duties to an immediate halt. Indeed, one of the 4 members of Parliament is the current second Deputy Speaker of Parliament. The Supreme Court was very clear that these outcomes that could cause irreparable harm to the constituencies in issue and the MPs themselves constituted exceptional circumstances to warrant a halt of the ruling of the Speaker until the controversy raised had been resolved. The consideration of these exceptional circumstances was clearly spelled out in the ruling of 18th October 2024.
Thank you. My second question is about another public interest. Recently, there has been a ruling. 17th line reported, for instance, birth certificates are not a proof of nationality. And this is a comment he made in relation to a ruling from the Supreme Court. When I take the form you fill to get a birth certificate, for instance, they call it a birth registration form, Form A, or B, particulars of mother, or she's a Ghanaian or not. And then one thing, it is quite clearly written the nationality of the person, because the person has ticked the 2 boxes. The mother or the father is a Ghanaian. Therefore, he or she qualified to be a Ghanaian. So if today, the ruling, according to our colleague, is that a birth certificate is just a mere record of birth, what then is a proof of nationality in this country? And I will be very happy, because I see in front of me probably the most senior people in the judiciary in this country. If I hold my Ghanaian, it's my birth certificate ruling. Why it is as if a birth certificate is not a proof of nationality. Meanwhile, on the form, you will have to certify clearly that you are a national before you are.
Honorable Member, Honorable Chair, citizenship is a matter of law. Nationality is a matter of law. Certain jurisdictions, being born in that place makes you a citizen of that country. In our country, being born in Ghana doesn't make you a citizen of Ghana. It is your relationship with your mother, it is your mother's identity, your father's identity, it is your lineage that determines your citizenship. So, that form records, that form is actually an international requirement. We must know where everybody is born. That form assists to know your antecedents. But beyond that, your nationality is derived from the information on that form. It is not the evidence of your nationality. It is the beginning of appreciating how your nationality must be determined. It's an originating process.
So if I hold a birth certificate duly issued by a state institution in Ghana, Registrar of Births and Deaths, and it states.
Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that There are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Good Morning Ghana here on Metro Television. Today is the 23rd of April 2025. This is the day the Lord has made. And indeed, we're glad for that. We're back again to join the nation's conversation on what's happening in our dear country, Ghana. So we'll look at the front page of the papers as we usually do when we come here on the show. So I'll start with the Daily Graphic. Daily Graphic this morning is reporting. It says that Ghana will mediate to strengthen unity in ECOWAS. President Mahama. Chief Justice suspended. Justice Bafoboni to act. Government moves to track down Galamsey financiers. Ghana, a bright spot in global shutdown. Daily Guide. 13 killed, others injured in gory accident. Man's penis cut off in lover's room. Mahama suspends Tokono, Bafoboni acting. Chief Justice apologize over failed Galamsey promise. NPP. JHS student lynched over phone. The new crusading guide. PZFA victims get 300,000 cedis push as Dr. Brani Champon promises to rebuild blue light stores in 1 year with Otumfuo's permission. Dame blast government over charade processes to remove Chief Justice. Mahama sacks Chief Justice Tokonu, democracy in crisis. It's clear you can't win Galamsey fight. Apologize. Kuka knocks Mahama. I will help develop Siame. Apenyo marking pledges as he reconnects with paternal ancestral home. CSIR Sari trains farmers on environmental safety management practices. The Insight. Dr. Brani Champon donates 300,000 cedis to Kumasi fire victims, implores Asantehene to allow him rebuild Edo market. Stop Mahama from ousting CJ, minority to chiefs, clergy. Chief Justice suspended. President sets up 5-member committee to investigate claims in petitions for Tokonu's removal. Apenkwa Village petitions President IGP to intervene in land dispute within the area. Children in Gaza charred to death as Israel strikes displaced people's tents in a designated safe zone. The Informer. Baumia MPP embark on appreciation tour today, promoting good governance. Let's raise our leaders from church. Reverend Upuni Frimpong urges, insists politics not dirty. There's Mahama suspends Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, and there's government hard on Akonta mining, revokes license amidst serious allegations. City FM Channel 1 TV show Love donates to 2 rehabilitation centers. There's Nigerian Archbishop makes case for Black Pope. The Inquisitor. NPP 2024 defeat. Nana carries shame as Aceh Mafia struggle to defend him. Ghana beat IMF, reserve target. Your day of reckoning has come. Sami Jimfi to one to me. My prosecution was unjust. I was innocent. Dr. Opuni. The Herald. Financial misconduct, controversial judgment, and administrative decisions get Chief Justice Tokonu suspended pending probe. Edun Kumasi far side turns battleground for MPP flag bearer aspirants. City FM and Channel 1 TV donate 25,000 cedis relief items to Irish Place Rehab Center. Owners of judiciary in tears as Mahama enters uncharted waters. FDA shifts blame in illegal drugs cover-up case. The Daily Statesman. Baumia NPP begin nationwide thank you tour. Ashaman chief wages war against Wunim Red. Jospon Next Gen launches sanitation campaign. Depoliticizes support for businesses. Minority leader charges politicians. Dark clouds over Ghana's democracy as Mahama suspends Chief Justice. The Ghanaian Publisher. Government mining decisions could spark job losses, repel investors, minority. Ghana's day of shame as Mahama suspends Chief Justice. Minority describes action as judicial coup. Depoliticize entrepreneurship, Apenyo marking. The Accra Times. Ama Kofi Boa talks hard. We will uproot Galamsey, describes activities of Akonta mining as criminal. At the coup Business Forum, Mahama allays investors. JM's choice secures total approval as DC for Butsa South. I am grateful. Butsa North MC pledges transparency and accountability. Kusau, Overlord, restores peace in Boku. Daily Post. Technology, critical in transforming Ghana's economy. CEO of GEA, Margaret Ansay. President Mahama suspends Chief Justice Tokonu, sets up committee to probe petitions. Judicial system won't collapse over Chief Justice Tokonu's suspension. Professor Appiaje Etia. There's acting girl CEO takes office, pledges to bring back the company to glory days. Justice Bafoboni takes over as acting Chief Justice. The Daily Searchlight, or the Searchlight. Mahama in breach of 1992 Constitution sets up rubber stamp committee to hang Tokonu. There's a police reshuffle commanders in flashpoint areas. And the ECOWAS must unite against violent extremism, as according to Tinubu. This Mahama announces 1,000 scholarships for West African students. Prudential Bank affirms commitment to cross-border payments through PAPS. The Custodian. Political intrusion threatens Ghana's private sector. Penyo marking. Ghana's day of shame. A demolition man, Mahama, pulls down CJ. Minority slams Mahama's judicial coup. And there's Business and Financial Times. Tommy are now forcing to champion QIC's Golden Age motor insurance policy. Share Employers Association wants ban on raw nuts export. Hotels Association demands enhanced stakeholder engagement, fund accountability as it launches Golden Jubilee celebration. And there's DBG's 500 million cedis to bolster agric and economy. So these are the front page stories of the various newspapers that we have received this morning on the show. I'll let you in on my guest shortly. Please stay with us.
Next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
me didn't tum. Mr. Friend, Calico, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Friend, me once now. Hey, is that you? Improve car. Yeah. Captain, mosquito, double the accent. Me did this, Sasso spray. Mr. Friend, Sasso quell. Yeah, go to my Sasso.
Come tum preko.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Look around. Home also need a makeover. Mine clearly does. So we went to Ashroom and found the Como collection. It had everything we're looking for and more. Matching furniture for the entire home, designed with you in mind.
Where's Como collection? Dressing up is just a breeze. Always ready with a perfect accessory.
A magic dressing mirror. One look and you're ready to face the world. Or at least the kids.
A bed perfect for young men who want
a table that turns into a treasure chest.
And finally, a sofa with this grand TV unit for family time at home.
Head over to any Ashphone store now and discover the new Como collection. Ashphone, feel it, know it.
Energy drink.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Chocolate Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste, Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Fire pomudi ni agubi Ghana fu ni agi efi say ya your local spices na ya frafra dia ya sankofa natural spice
me de go me jollof mu ni me still ahodoma e ma ne dance
Stanley, the barbecue they go on.
sankofa natural spices and one you use 100% natural
Adolfo, Mamunye huge mistake. Sankofa natural spices.
MGL Logistics and Supply is your trusted partner, providing seamless solutions for all your procurement needs. From sourcing products to managing imports and exports, we ensure smooth and efficient transactions every step of the way. Whether you require goods from across the globe or need assistance in exporting your products to international markets, we got you covered. General trading is at the heart of our expertise. We specialize in a wide range of products, catering to various industries and markets. As a trusted dealership in building materials, we provide high-quality products that meet the demands of our construction projects. Additionally, we act as manufacturers' representatives, connecting producers with distributors. Our expertise in logistics is the backbone of our operations. We plan and execute transportation and delivery of goods, ensuring they reach their destination on time and in optimal condition. MGO Logistics and Supply, guaranteed satisfaction.
At the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, our mission is to promote good driving standards on our roads and other public places. We can only achieve this by ensuring that every driver and vehicle owner has access to quality services and the right information to stay compliant with road safety regulations. This is why we are excited to introduce the 2025 National Community Outreach Program, an initiative designed to bring our services and education closer to the public. This initiative is to actively engage transport unions, corporate entities, and communities. We invite you to stay connected as we bring DVLA services right to your doorstep. At DVLA, your safety will continue to be our concern.
Cratchy, unemu bua unkoisha Dr. Ban uye denwa.
Oh, Mr. Yamfani come and me buru wa. Mami do buru. Don't ni atele be ko bra. Mumi Yamfani ko Dr. Ban ho. Dr. Ban o ya de. Bra, se ba no mpemu adwuma sasabro slow Dr. Ban o ye.
Hey, say me kwada meka. Oh, no mpemu nimdi ono na ye expect nya zanfo no. O akra any Kumasi no mpemu expect yen kan kire wo.
You're still live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Awudu Moro, and this morning I've been joined by the managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Mr. Kwesi Pratt. Affectionately, we call him Uncle Kwesi. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Thank you. It's always a pleasure having you join us. And also a man who I call him one of the pioneers of the show. He's been on the show for a very, very long time, and he makes time anytime he's in town. He's a busy man, but he takes time off his very busy schedule from time to join us. And I'm talking about Mr. Eugene Boakye-Antwi. He's also Honorable Eugene Boakye-Antwi. He's a former Member of Parliament for the Subing constituency. He's also with us this morning. Good morning, sir. Thank you so very much for joining us on the show. But before I go ahead, let me say a big thanks to Blue Jeans Energy Drink. Blue Jeans Energy Drink is partly associated with the Good Morning Ghana program. Now, Blue Jeans Energy Drink is the kind of product that a lot of us would want to attest to in terms of the benefits of what it does for us, in terms of the taste, in terms of what it does for rejuvenating and supporting and boosting our immune systems and strength and so on. It has B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and your energy. Blue Jeans Energy Drink has been tested, it's been tried, and we know that it's great. It's fascinating indeed. Blue Jeans Energy Drink is for bold and active men and women, and it's in shops nationwide. So call the following numbers in case you want to buy them in bulk. It's 0208 128 190. 0208 128 190, and there's also 055 001 000. So 055 001 000. Now, another company that is proudly associated with the Good Morning Ghana program is Portley Tank. Yes, there's only one tank in Ghana. It's Portley Tank. Finish. Forget about the rest. Portley Tank. Take it from me. Now, Portley Tank. Papano Ankasa. Charlie, this is Ghana. You only get deceived if you're not sure of what you're buying or you don't really know the market, okay? Now, when it comes to water storage tanks, the name we all know is Portley Tank. Now, it has been with us for over 30 years and has been trusted by all these generations. Make no mistake, always choose Portley Tank for guaranteed quality. It's available at the same price across the country at Portley Tank partner shops. Be it Rambo, Hippo, Sumo, Super Sumo, durability is always assured. Portley Tank, the original, always the best. Papano Ankasa. Now, Portley Tank does not request for mobile payment online. That's there. So buyers beware. Now, gentlemen, we some say Ejana Bedu, and it's about Ghana's Chief Justice and all that has happened to her in the last 24 hours. The newspapers have variously reported it. It's unprecedented. It has never happened before, at least under the Fourth Republic. The Daily Graphic is reporting it, and the Daily Graphic says that the Chief Justice suspended Justice Bafo-Boni to act. Now, Emmanuel Ebu-Hoxing is reporting that President John Dramani Mahama has suspended the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Saki Tokonu, after determining that 3 petitions seeking a removal established a prima facie case to warrant a probe. Now, following the suspension of Justice Tokonu, Justice Paul Bafo-Boni, the most senior justice, and the story continues on page 3, right, of the Supreme Court, will act as Chief Justice. This is pursuant to Article 1446 of the 1992 Constitution, which allows the most senior justice of the Supreme Court to act as the Chief Justice in the event that the position of the Chief Justice becomes vacant or the substantive Chief Justice is unable to perform his or her functions, as pertains in this case where Justice Tokonu is unable to perform her functions due to her suspension. The suspension of the Chief Justice by President Mahama, the first in the country's governance system, followed the determination of the prima facie case by the President in consultation with the Council of State and the subsequent establishment of a 5-member committee to inquire into the petitions in accordance with Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. Now, Article 146(10) of the Constitution allows the President, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State, to suspend the Chief Justice when a committee is established to probe the petition seeking the removal of the Chief Justice. Now, pursuant to Article 146(10) of the Constitution and in accordance with the advice of the Council of State, the President has, by a warrant, suspended the Chief Justice with immediate effect pending the outcome of the committee's proceedings. A statement signed and issued by the spokesperson to the President and Minister of Government Communication, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, stated that the statement by the spokesperson to the President announced that a 5-member committee established by the President to probe the petitions would be chaired by Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Gabriel Scott Kwamang. The other members of the committee are Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Samuel Kwame Edibu Esiedu, a former Auditor General, Daniel Yao Demelovo, and Major Flora Bazwananura of the Ghana Armed Forces, and Professor James Sefa Jisa of the University of Ghana. Now, although there have been several attempts by individuals to seek the removal of the Chief Justice in the history of the country, this is the first time under the Fourth Republic that the President has triggered Article 146(10) of the Constitution to suspend the Chief Justice who is facing impeachment proceedings. In fact, this is the first time a petition seeking the removal of the Chief Justice has passed the prima facie determination to a committee being set up by the President to probe the petition. In 1995, the Ghana Bar Association filed a writ at the Supreme Court challenging the nomination of Justice Isaac Kobina Aban as Chief Justice by the then President Jerry John Rawlings on the basis that Justice Aban was not a person of high moral character or proven integrity to serve as Chief Justice. And it gives a chronology of past incidents. That's what it has done. It also goes ahead to talk about how the impeachment process is undertaken. And of course, so there's the background also being published by the Daily Graphic. It's not a yeoman's job. It's a great job that is done. There's a lot of information in there. But let me just finish with this, the first two paragraphs. The background is that on March 25 this year, Mr. Otumfuo released a statement announcing that President Mahama had forwarded to the Council of State for consultation 3 petitions seeking the removal of Justice Tokonu. 2 days later, the Member of Parliament for Otumfuo visited Kwasef filed a writ asking the Supreme Court to declare the prima facie determination process as unconstitutional owing to what it termed as a failure of the President to notify the Chief Justice about the petition and receiving her responses before forwarding same to the Council of State. Now, on the same day that the 2 court processes were filed, Justice Tokonu also wrote to the President requesting copies of the petitions and to be allowed to respond in tandem with the rules of natural justice. Mr. Sefwa, represented by his lawyer, Godfrey Dame, a former Attorney General, also filed an injunction application seeking to halt the entire impeachment process pending the final determination of the substantive suit. However, 2 days after the writ and the injunction application were filed, President Mahama on March 29, 2025 forwarded the petitions to the Chief Justice seeking her preliminary response to the process initiated with the Council of State to determine whether or not there was a prima facie case for her to answer. And that, for me, is the reason why I feel that the Vincent Asif-West suit is otiose, as the lawyers will say, or is moot, because that which we're seeking has already been done. But that's just for the court to determine. It's just my respectful and humble view. Now, the President gave Justice Tokonu 2 days to submit the responses, which the Chief Justice reportedly complied with, and that is what has landed us where we are. Of course, having looked at the responses, the Council of State determined that based on the responses that she's filed, she has a case to answer, and that's why a committee has been set up based on which she's been suspended. Now, I'll start with Honorable Eugene. Let's start with, okay, Mr. Kwesi Pratt. Okay, that's fine.
For the first time, I've seen him writing copious.
Yeah, he does that. He does that. No, he does that all the time.
Institutional memory.
No, he does that all the time. He does that all the time. Yeah,
It's not about what we are discussing.
Yes. There are some things he doesn't want to forget, you know.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes. So I'll start with, let me start. Oh, you want to start? Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Now there's a fundamental question people have asked, and it appears that the MPP appears to be very fixated with this issue. And if you look at even the processes that have been filed in court, you have the likes of Godfrey Dame, Vincent Kwasefwa, and quite a number of other persons who are challenging this matter. Even when you listen to public commentary, the MPP appears to have taken this thing very personally and is raising a certain suspicion. 2 questions. Is it that the Chief Justice herself doesn't have what it takes or doesn't have the capacity to fight this, and I'm using fight here advisedly, to fight this matter on her own, or it is the case that indeed, as some have perceived, the Chief Justice is somebody who is very good friends with the persons in the MPP, and that's why you've taken this matter so personally. What exactly is happening?
Okay, good morning to our esteemed viewers. Number one, there's no way the Chief Justice on her own can fight the whole establishment.
Okay. So
you must understand that from that point of view, if you have a certain president who doesn't appoint you, constituting a whole committee to investigate you, then it becomes a national matter, you know, in that regard. In terms of the book, I really do want to comment about this matter for 2 reasons. Because these are constitutional processes being triggered by the president. But why I'm commenting this morning is the conduct of the chairman of the NDC.
You mean Johnson Asiedu Nketia?
Honorable Johnson Asiedu Nketia. The conduct of Mr. Sami Gyamfi, the communications director of the NDC. The conduct of this Mr. Tanko computer guy and others who have made this matter a very political matter. So to that extent, the reaction of members of my party should also be put into context, if you know what I mean. I have
a deep sense of foreboding about the future of this country, or the direction of this country.
Before you talk about the deep sense of worry about the deep sense of foreboding about the future of this country, what is it that the aforementioned persons? So you talk about computer tanko.
I'll get there.
That's now a gift. Oh, you get there. Okay.
Yeah, there. You see, if we are going to politicize all these state institutions, then there's a danger for this country. Right? Well, these were things we saw as young men in this country under Jerry Rawlings.
Okay.
May you so rest in peace. Where people were brought from retirement to come in the CJs, where people were brought from retirement to come in the IGPs and what have you. I think this country has moved on from that era. And I think we had a very stable Fourth Republic, where all chief justices served their term or were probably replaced due to ill health. The danger facing our country now is we don't know the full facts of these so-called petitions that have been forwarded to the president for the president to trigger this constitutional process. We don't know. But I listened to, I'll take them one by one. I listened to Honorable Johnson Seydou Nketia, who is the chairman of the NDC. And he made mention of the fact that CJ will be relieved of her position or will be sacked, dismissed.
Where did he say this?
Oh, so many radio stations.
Okay.
So many radio stations.
All right.
And then Mr. Sabi Jemfi was on Asempa yesterday talking about the contents of the petition. You understand? The fact that the Chief Justice traveled, there's a policy, she traveled outside with her spouse and her daughter and gave them per diem of $30,000. He stated all these things on Asempa yesterday. I was listening to him. Then we have Mr. Computer, Mr. Tanko, Alaji Tanko, if he is, who also has been very vociferous in the removal of the Chief Justice. And the worry here is, apart from Justice Aban, I.K. Aban, of present memory, who was, so far, I think he's the only judge that was appointed under the Fourth Republican Constitution by the NDC. All the subsequent ones were appointed under MPP. And as a politician, and looking at the trajectory of Mr. Seydou Nketia, they are not done yet. They are going to get the Chief Justice removed from office. From there, they are going to enter the Electoral Commission. He said it. He said all these things. He said all these. I listened to him, and I'm quoting exactly what he said. And that is what is making it a very worrying situation for our country. It's worrying because if you manage to get these people removed from office using the Constitution, don't forget that in the event of an MPP administration, all such post holders will also be removed. But that's the trend that they are setting now. Because just go by the trend, all IGPs who are appointed by sitting governments have been changed by incoming government. All IGPs. Some who have not even reached their retirement ages. And it's now moved from the police and the service commanders. We are now going to the state institutions. That is what is worrying. That is what is worrying. And because we are not conversant with the facts or the contents of these petitions, it will be unfair for us to comment on it. You see? But if you look at Article 14610, it says the president may. May means discretion. You can use your discretion and say, look, you know what? These are the facts. Let her continue with the work. Let the committee investigate it. And then, after the committee has completed its work, if the committee finds it necessary to advise the president to remove her from office, then an action will be taken. But the may has now turned into something mandatory, saying shall, because the president has acted with a shall and not the may. But the president is continuing with the provisions of Article 14610 to say 146 to say 10 to say she's suspended by a warrant.
Not necessarily.
Oh, she's suspended on a warrant.
Okay.
So the word may has now turned to a shall. It's not a may anymore because the president had every discretion given to him by the Constitution to have applied it, but he did not. So he's gone further to a full extreme and asked for a suspension by a warrant, which has now been done. A committee has now been formed. The committee has now been formed to investigate the matter. Right? But we are hearing from Mr. Sami Gyamfi saying, oh, he traveled. And when he traveled out of this country, her airline tickets and that of her spouse and her daughter were all paid for by the taxpayer. Couldn't the CJ have paid it out of her own pocket? But where is the policy? Sami Gyamfi did not quote. You see, this is something I find very strange in this country, especially when people who are trained to know better, lawyers, who are known to say things and back it with evidence, goes to these radio stations, sits there, says things without any evidence, because this policy is talking about, I haven't seen the policy. You may probably have not seen the policy. And whether Sami is right or wrong, we don't know.
But are you aware that the Auditor General had already flagged this particular expenditure that you're talking about?
Look, let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Yes.
We've all said in the executive before. So there are certain things you won't come and sit here and talk about.
Are you suggesting it's a normal thing?
It's a norm.
It's a normal thing?
Ministers, even presidents. You see, the danger is, we must be careful. These overbearing, overarching presidents, the powers we give to the president, will probably end this country in a very bad place.
But does it make it right?
I'm coming. I've sat here, I said it under Kufuado, I'm saying it under Mahama.
Okay.
That if care is not taken, these executive powers given to the president of this, a very young democracy like ours, won't end us well. Because Ghana has now been taken to the first republic, where a president did everything and had the powers to sack judges and did the stool chiefs and everything. But you can make provision for the First Republic because it was a very new constitution. But we've moved on to a fourth constitution. And you still have given all these enormous powers to one person who can hire and fire at will. Because, no matter what the process that the CJ has to go through, the president has constituted a team. The president won't go and put Eugene on that team. You understand? The president will not go and put David Supoku Ansa on that team. The president will not go and put Anodom Prayer on that team. Do you know what I mean? The president will put people who are linked to his party on the committee because he has those powers guaranteed under the Constitution. And this is what is worrying tomorrow. If care is not taken and we are going to walk into these state institutions and get rid of people who have been elevated to those positions by previous administrations, I do have a deep sense of foreboding that the way we are going, it will not end this country anywhere. These are the things that breed civil unrest and what have you. Because people think, so I'm not a politician. Because almost from magistrates all the way to Chief Justice, they're all appointed by the president. Either approved or appointed by the president. So you cannot say that the fact that Getu Tokonu was appointed by President Kufuado is strange. It's not strange. Well, President Kufuado from 7th of January 2017 till when he left office on 7th of January 2025 has appointed or did appoint all the magistrates between 7th of January 2017 till 7th of January 2025. All the magistrates, all the circuit court judges, all the high court judges, all the court of appeal judges, and the CJ. That was his job to do that. So are you going to say that all the judges who are appointed under President Kufuado are all MPP? We've seen, let me give you a case in point. We've seen Tanko Amedu, is that the name? CJ.
Justice Amadou Tanko.
JSC.
Yes, Omar Amadou.
Yes, he's gone to that Supreme Court, and two critical cases, he's gone against the government. But they could appoint him. That's the law. When we went to the Supreme Court in 2013, President J. Kufuor had appointed 5 members on that panel. 5. But did we win all the 5? We did not. Do you understand? We did not. So, when it comes to the administration of justice, we should let them be. Do you understand? We should let them be. Today is get to talk on them. You keep quiet. Tomorrow, it could be Tanko Amedu. It could be any of those judges. Do you understand? And then, when you find yourself in a position, then you come and make noise. How long are we going to play political football with our state institutions, especially with the arms of government? How long? And what is the end game in all this? Because if President Mahama succeeds in removing a leadership Justice Tokono, it won't end there. Any MPP arbitration, you mark on the wall, will remove the Chief Justice, when they come. They will find something. You can always find fault. You can always find fault. You don't need to sit down and take a pen and paper. You can always find fault. Today, you are using a traveling expense to get rid of a Chief Justice. Tomorrow, somebody will come and say, hey, this case, you should have impounded it, you don't impound it, so I'm also getting rid of you. And you get people flying in with these petitions.
Okay.
And where is that leading Ghana as a country? Where is that leading these institutions, the judiciary, the legislature, and the president? Where is it taking us? And that's why I didn't want to talk about the matter. Well, I don't want to sound political. Yes, he has the powers, he can use them. But will it end here? It will not. Because now, if the chairman of the NDC, the party in government now, is saying that they're going to remove the Chief Justice, they're going to remove all the commissioners of Electoral Commission, all of them. People will say, oh, but they didn't do Charlotte Osei. But Charlotte Osei was an inside fight between Charlotte Osei and Amadou Sule. May so rest in peace. They were fighting. They were the ones leaking things to the media. So President Kufuor didn't have a choice in the matter. You understand? It wasn't like this time, oh, it's 2 Supreme Court judges fighting, and they're all leaking things about. That was the case with Charlotte Osei. So it's not the same. It's not the same. So nobody should even go there. Because Charlotte Osei declared that Kufuor was the president. There was no issue. Do you understand? It was after that Amadou Sule, may he rest in peace, and Charlotte started the infighting. And by leaking things, accusations, counter-accusations, that led to where it was. Or led to, I'm sure left to maybe the president. It wasn't necessary. Because, look, all the electoral commissioners, all the chief justices, who are the Afarijan and Justice Ike Aban, may he rest in peace, they sworn in J. Kufuor. Do you understand? Yeah. In 2009, Justice Georgina Tudor-Root, and the same Afarijan, made sure late President J. emails was sworn in. In 2016, Charlotte Osei and Justice Tudor-Root sworn in Kufuor.
Okay.
So you can all these appointments were probably made before you came into office. And the way we are going, if care is not taken, we are going to bastardize these institutions or these arms of government, and it will be of nobody's benefit.
But let me ask you this, Eugene. and please be brief on this so I can bring in Mr. Kwesi Pratt. Of what consequence will what I'll term as wayside or tangential comments by persons like the national chairman of the party, that's Johnson Asiedu Nketia, and some of the other persons whose comments you have grave reservations for, of what consequences are those comments to the constitutional process which is unfolding?
The consequence is one. Asiedu Nketia is not a foot soldier in Subin. So what are you talking about? He's the chairman of a ruling party.
But he's not the president.
No. Don't, please.
I mean, I'm saying that Article 146 does not talk about the role.
Bear with me. I'll get to the 146 bit.
Yes. Okay.
Bear with me.
Okay.
don't underestimate the influence of Johnson and Seydou Ketia in the NDC.
So are you?
No, bear with
so
me.
What
Bear with me. You've answered the question. You've asked me a question. Let me answer.
In fact, this is 14610.
No, that is fine.
Right.
President Mahama, I said, is doing his work. The Constitution mandates him to do it. He's carrying it out. Nobody is. But is that when the politicians get involved? You were talking about why the MPP were out there defending the minority that has spoken. The minority caucus has issued a press statement. They sent the Kosifwa, an MPP MP, is in court. Godfrey Dami, a former Attorney General appointed by President Nana, is also in court, and all of that. And I'm also giving you the basis why these people got involved. Because if President Mahama had done this quietly without the likes of his party chairman and director of communications getting involved publicly about it, there would have been no need for these guys, or even this guy wouldn't have even got the energy to even get involved. So if you say what consequence? Yes, the consequence led to the triggering of the Article 46.
You mean are you saying the petitioners are NDC people?
No. Well, do you know the petitioners?
We don't know them. I'm asking. Because we're saying that these comments for you, is what has led to the petition which has been filed.
No. Don't misquote me. What I'm trying to say is that when the petitions were sent to a Council of State, Chairman Seydou Ketia started talking. His interview was granted before the decision came out of the Council of State.
Okay.
You understand? So, in law, how would the lawyer describe it? Sometimes by investigation, sometimes be given to a committee to go and investigate. You already conclude for them. And that's a very political matter. You cannot say that a whole chairman of a ruling party has spoken and the minority or the opposition should just keep quiet.
Okay.
And then subsequent to that, Sami Janfi, I listened to him yesterday on Asempa. I can even tell you the essence. You want to play it here. Going into the contents of the petition, you understand? Something that has been sent to the presidency of Ghana. Right? So who leaked what? And at which point was it leaked? I'm saying this is not about Gertrude Tokonu. It's about her today, but it could be anybody tomorrow. And as Ghanaians, we must ensure that such things are not political.
Okay.
If Gertrude Tokonu has committed an offense, has breached a policy or whatever, and the president is going to deal with it, let her go. She's a lawyer.
All right.
She's a lawyer of high repute.
All right.
The chief justice for that matter.
Okay.
She can go before them and defend herself.
Okay.
But there is taking a political dimension because of our opponents.
All right.
And not just any ordinary people. We are talking about a whole national chairman, communication director,
all right,
and the man who was in charge of the IT during the 2024 elections.
All right.
We are talking about heavyweights in the NDC. They are making the matter political.
Okay.
Thank you.
These are so Vincent Ekwasefo himself has actually filed what he calls a supplementary affidavit to the earlier one that he filed.
Yes. So that you can play that one.
He is asking for a number of things to be done. You know, he wants an interlocutory injunction which has not been granted yet because the person who's supposed to sit on is the same as Seydou, who is a member of the 5-member committee. And at the time, we're told he wasn't feeling too well, so he had to be postponed. I recall at the time, Marita, wasn't it, the professor, the good old professor, Justice Herita Mensah Bonsu, actually announced that he was indisposed, and so it had been rescheduled. But the same man has now been added to a 5-member committee that's supposed to be probing the allegations that have been brought against them. Obviously, help us appreciate how you see all of this. But before you come in, the Herald has actually reproduced, and I'm just going to read just 2 paragraphs of it so that you can put all of that in perspective. The Herald says financial misconduct, controversial judgment, and administrative decisions. And it says allegations of financial misconduct involving the misuse of public funds, a controversial Supreme Court ruling related to Ecobank Ghana Limited, and questionable administrative decisions have led President John Dramani Mahama acting on a prima facie determination to suspend Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu. However, the central issue concerns alleged illegal payments made to her 2 immediate family members, her husband, Francis Kofi Tokonu, and their daughter, Sarah Edem Amiga Tokonu. The payments were documented in an audit report on the judiciary. Auditors were said to have demanded the recovery of a staggering $261,890 and $30,000, threatening to impose a hefty surcharge on the Judicial Secretary should the funds not be repaid. The Chief Justice reported to have refunded the money including an interest. President Mahama has since established a 5-member committee, and it goes on and on and on. And there's some more details on some of the things that the Herald itself has been able to pick from the petition which has been filed against Justice Tokono. Please go ahead.
Well, first of all, I haven't heard yet anybody make a case of constitutional violation against the president. Nobody has made that case. So there's no constitutional violation as far as I'm concerned. But I think it is not correct also just to dwell on the constitutional provisions in these matters. Because beyond the constitutional provisions are questions of public morality and so on, which may not be in black and white and so on. They are matters which ought to be discerned and so on. So as far as the Constitution is concerned, there's no infraction. Now, there is talk of precedent, this setting a very dangerous precedent. And I'm completely lost. Because I recall that a couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago, 9 years ago, and so on, all of us continuously made the point that the impeachment of public officers, those who hold constitutionally designed positions, ought to be done carefully. Otherwise, it would set a precedent. And I remember us making this case very strongly in the Charlotte Osei case. You know, Charlotte Osei and others. We made it so strongly. It was ignored. Now, if some precedent was set, that precedent has been set already. It is not new. You understand what I'm saying? That precedent has been set already. Now, I recall very clearly that at the time, the argument which was made in support of the president's actions was that the office of the president in matters of this nature only acts as a post office box. That argument was made very strongly.
A conveyor belt.
A conveyor belt. And that when the president receives a petition, he cannot do anything about it but forward it to the Council of State, and then all the actions are triggered. That was the argument which was made. Now, surprisingly, when President Akufo-Addo got a petition against the sitting Chief Justice calling for her removal, he took a decision not to act on it.
Yes.
You understand? So if the earlier position was correct, how come that in the case of the Chief Justice, he did not act? Because in his view, the petition did not have merit. In the president's view, the petition did not have merit.
There was a second reason.
Yeah.
The second reason was that you're talking about the Professor Kwekwaza one. He said Professor Kwekwaza had made it public, and that in itself was against the rules of the game.
Whatever it is, the president could make a decision not to proceed.
Yes.
Earlier we had been told that he had no option but to act.
So your question is which is which?
No, that's not exactly my question. What I'm saying is that if the president acts differently in the case of Charlotte Osei, from his position of the Chief Justice, it does suggest a certain bias. And out of that bias may arise a suspicion of political coloring and so on. Okay, so all these things happened before President Mahama assumed office. Now, my brother here, Honorable Eugene Entry, made the point that the provisions of the Constitution, actually the language of the Constitution says that the president may act, and that it does appear that the president is acting as if the provisions of the Constitution are mandatory. I've taken the trouble to look at Article 146.
10. It's 11. Rather 11.
146, 10.
11.
And 11.
I've taken the trouble to look at 146.
Okay.
And if you look at Article 146, may is used only twice in Article 146. It is used in 2, where it says that a justice of the Superior Court of Judicature or chairman of the regional tribunal may only be removed in accordance with the procedure specified in this article. That's the first time may is used. May is also used in 10, where it says, where a petition has been referred to a committee under this article, the president may.
Go further. It's also used in 11, so 3 times.
Okay, so 3 times, no problem. Yes, 3 times. The president may, in the case of the Chief Justice, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State by warrant signed by him, suspend the Chief Justice and so on. And my attention is drawn to the fact that it is also used in 11, which is correct. So the president may at any time revoke a suspension under this article. That's interesting. Now, if you look at 3, it says clearly, the tribunal, it says that the president, if the president receives a petition for the removal of a Chief Justice of a Superior Court, other than the Chief Justice, or for the removal of the chairman of a regional tribunal, he shall refer the petition to the Chief Justice, who shall determine whether there is a prima facie case or not. 4, when the Chief Justice decides that there is a prima facie case, he shall, again shall is used. And then 5, the committee appointed under clause 4 of this article shall investigate the complaint and shall make its recommendations to the Chief Justice, who shall forward it to the President. Then 6, where the petition is for the removal of the Chief Justice, the President shall, acting in accordance with the Council of State, appoint a committee consisting of so and so and so and so. So shall is used again. Then 7, the committee appointed under clause 6 of this article shall, again shall, inquire into the petition and recommend. 8, all proceedings under this article shall be held in camera. 9, the President shall, in each case, act in accordance with the recommendations of the committee. And then 10 and 11. So it is clear that some of the President's actions in this matter actually spring from a constitutional obligation. He has no, he cannot, he has no middle way. These are constitutional injunctions on the President, presidential duties imposed on him by the Constitution. So that is very, very clear. Now, all of us, or many people, are talking about the contents of the 3 petitions that went to the President. I count 4, because I count the petition also from Professor Kwaku Azar as 1 petition. So 4. And then I ask myself, what is it with this Chief Justice that for the first time in our history, 4 petitions go to the presidency for her removal? Something must be wrong. What is it? Is it her conduct? What is it which is wrong, which has necessitated 4 petitions for her removal? That, for me, it's interesting. Now, because of the constitutional injunction that the contents of the petitions and the processes for deciding whether she should be removed or not.
Apparently, sorry for rudely interrupting. Annie just drew my attention. Apparently, it's 5, not even 4, 5 petitions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes my case even stronger.
Yeah, 5 petitions.
But the point I'm making simply is this. The Constitution itself is very clear that these should be held, this should be done in confidence. The petition itself needs not be disclosed to the public. The hearing itself ought to be in camera. There's a reason why the Constitution did that. And the only reason I can fathom is that the Constitution did not want a situation where vexatious and frivolous petitions can be sent to the president, made public, to damage the image of a person who may not be removed at the end of the process as Chief Justice. And therefore, it was important, as the constitutional drafters saw it, to keep it secret, to keep it in confidence, so that the Chief Justice may not suffer undue reputational damage. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I get it.
Yes. So now, we are being told about contents of petitions, and you and I have no way of verifying whether they are the true contents of the petitions.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Now, who is doing that? Who is deliberately disrespecting the provisions of the Constitution? Is it the Chief Justice herself? Because these contents can only be reviewed.
So is the Chief Justice or the presidency?
Yeah.
Don't add it.
No, hold on.
Sure.
I was making the point.
Sure.
It is either the Chief Justice herself or the presidency. You understand?
No, I'll give you.
No, but hold on.
Permission to continue.
Interestingly, the presidency has protested about these public disclosures. The president, in a letter to the Chief Justice, has questioned why she has made confidential materials public.
You know the Chief Justice's response to the president has not been leaked.
How do you know?
That's intriguing. It's not out there. It's not out there. It's only the petitions that have been leaked. But the Chief Justice's response to the presidency has not been leaked.
Well, I'm not sure.
I'm telling you.
The fact that you haven't seen it doesn't mean that
it's not, because we would have seen it or heard it by now.
No.
Okay.
you can't tell.
Okay, the purpose of the program, let's continue.
Yes. But what has been leaked? Who is leaking it? Is it the Chief Justice? Because right now, on record, she's the only person who has leaked information about this process.
Oh.
Yes, that's a fact. Known, proven. Known and proven. I'm not talking about rumors. Known and proven.
What did she leak?
You remember President John Mahama's letter to her, in which he complained that her response or her request for permission to respond to the allegations against her was leaked. You remember?
And that she did it in bad faith.
Yes, and that she did it in bad faith. Yeah. So, in terms of proving record and so on, she's the only person who we can say for sure has leaked aspects of this process. You cannot say that President Mahama's office has leaked any information. There's no proof of it and so on. But in the case, it does appear that she actually wrote a letter which was copied to certain individuals and institutions and so on. So it does raise this question. And I think if that is the case, it is unfair to her. And if she did it, she herself has been unfair to herself. You understand? Now, I agree with my brother here that those political office holders, and it doesn't matter whether they are NDC or MPP, who are engaged in public commentary on the process and actually making statements which prejudge the issues, are in contempt of a judicial process. This is a judicial process. This is a complete judicial process. So when you have people sitting on radio and television pronouncing the guilt of the Chief Justice or her innocence, and it does not matter whether they are MPP or NDC, they are clearly in breach of the Constitution and they are in contempt of a judicial process. That's my position.
And it's a very sound position.
Well, but that is my position. They are in breach. They are in contempt, clear contempt, and so on. I would have liked a situation where everybody went silent and allowed the processes to take place. You understand? Now, what would have happened if the president had refused to take action? the president himself would have been in breach of the Constitution.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So once a petition goes before the president, one way or the other, has to act, or he himself breaches his oath of office and the Constitution. So the president has done nothing wrong. Everything the president has done is clean. So now, you see, I have a problem. Yes, it is true that all chief justices will be appointed by one president or the other. It is true. Okay? All justices of the Supreme Court will be appointed by one president or the other. And as he says, the mere fact that the president appoints a judge of the Supreme Court is not sufficient grounds for establishing political bias. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Understand,
it's not sufficient ground for establishing political bias. What happens? And the public is not foolish. You understand? Those who sit in the Supreme Court, when they went to law school, they had mates, classmates. Maybe even in the examination, their classmates did better than them, and so on. So they don't know the law better than all the 32 million people in this country. There are people who know the law
and who teach the law,
and people who taught them the law, who are still alive, and so on. Okay. So when they go to the Supreme Court and they sit on panels to adjudicate cases, they must understand that among the 32 million people are people who know the law and who understand how the law should operate. So when they twist and turn, it becomes obvious, even to the untutored. You understand what I'm saying? So invariably, it is their conduct on the bench which shows their biases. Now, they have a duty to themselves, the Constitution and the people of Ghana, to the extent that is possible, not to display their biases as insignia of honor. Because if they do that, they get us to the situation where we have no choice but to insist that the proper things must be done. And in that case, they cannot blame anybody but themselves. Now, I'm not saying that bias by itself is something which is unhealthy and which we should not countenance and so on. The mere fact that when the Supreme Court sits, sometimes there's a panel of 5. It's an admission that as human beings, they have their biases, as all of us do have our biases.
Right.
So 5 people sit in order to ensure that these biases are balanced and that at the end of the day, the decisions which are arrived at are reasonable, are in tune with the Constitution, and so forth and so on. You understand what I'm saying? So bias by itself is not a problem. But what is deliberately skewed in order to achieve an end which is unjustifiable, which constitutes injustice, then bias becomes a problem.
Right.
I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
Mm-hmm. So all of us have watched these Supreme Court judges display over some time. You understand? We've seen them displaying over some time. Now, my brother, I have seen the results of the survey done by Global Info Analytics. And I think that it is one of the most credible research institutions in this country today.
Right.
And I've seen that 52% of the population, without reading the content of the petitions, came to the conclusion that the Chief Justice must go. That's a huge statement. It's a statement about public perception, but it is weighty. What has the Chief Justice done? To the extent that even without knowing the contents of the petition against her, 52% of the population think that she must go. That is not all. If you look at the results of the survey, 83% of persons who identify themselves as NDC want her to go. And I think less than 40%, I've forgotten the actual figure, of MPP people want her to stay. That itself is a statement about where we are today. It's a clear statement about where we are today. Now, the Chief Justice herself does not help herself at all in this matter.
How so?
And I'm not talking about her guilt or her innocence. I'm talking about the aesthetics of the case. This matter goes to court. All her lawyers are known to be MPP members of persons who are close to the MPP. How come? Are there no lawyers who are perceived to be independent of these political parties who are capable of handling her case? Are there no such lawyers? I wonder. Now, this process is triggered, and the minority actually holds press conferences and say she must stay there. Is that not politicization? What impression does that give? And my brother here is talking about statements made by Mr. Asedun Ketia and Sami Jimfi and others. Exactly. Doesn't that also give the process some political coloring? I mean, I am very, very deeply worried about the extent of politicization in this country. And I'm very worried. Partisan politicization. And one of the alarm bells rang for me when President Akufo-Addo actually went to the extent of appointing PROs for state institutions. I mean, it just killed me completely. And in those days, if you remember, I think you were a regular panelist on this program.
PROs for
Ghana Gas.
Oh, PROs for state institutions.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, you know, he personally wrote a letter.
Yeah.
Are you part of the panel or
Sorry?
you are hosting?
No, I'm
Okay,
just.
so let's make it case.
No, I'm just telling you what he said. Because he said you are not too sure of, and I said, oh, I remember.
I was going to pay attention. That's what I said.
I wanted you to pay more attention. That's what I had to come.
So at that stage, I became alarmed.
Yes.
And I said, what if other presidents follow suit?
Right.
We are going to get to a situation where, if you are not a member of the NDC or a member of the MPP, you are condemned to unemployment. And that situation is clearly unacceptable. We cannot accept that. We cannot run Ghana on that basis. This extreme, and the last time I used the word and many people complained that I was too harsh and so on. But how else can I describe this situation without using the word foolish or stupid? Somebody must tell me how you can run a country on which you can only get a job, even a middle-level job, sometimes very low-class job, only on the basis of which party identity card you hold. How can we run a nation like that? Okay? So this politicization has been going on. It is going on. It is beginning to reflect in everything we do as a nation. And I'm extremely worried about that. Okay. Right now, the process has gotten to the third stage. Okay. The President referred the matter to the Council of State. Indeed, the Chief Justice was given a 10-day opportunity to respond to the petition. I think it's also been forwarded to the Council of State. The Council of State has decided that there's a prima facie case. Following that, the President has set up the 5-member committee according to the provisions of the Constitution. 2 judges, one of whom must be chairperson, and 3 persons who should not be lawyers, who should not be members of parliament, and who should not be ordinary citizens, and so on. I think what the President has done is constitutional and needs to be respected. The President also has taken the provisions of the Constitution seriously, which allow him to suspend the Chief Justice whilst the investigations are going on. Okay? And it makes a lot of sense for the Chief Justice to be suspended. Because if the Chief Justice is not suspended, what if matters related to the case are filed at the Supreme Court? Is she the person going to empanel them? It raises all kinds of complications. So she herself must understand why she cannot continue to be Chief Justice while these matters are being heard. Now, I want to be very honest about what has happened. I know at least one of the judges on this 5-member committee. And I can say with certainty, somebody I've known for 40 years or more, that is upright, honest, sincere, and is not likely to be swayed by political influence. I know him, one person, and I can vouch.
We know who you are referring to.
Well, I haven't mentioned any name.
We know.
If you know, it's even better. Okay. But I can vouch for his integrity. Okay. Now, a lot of people have said that Mr. Domelevo sent a case to the Supreme Court. In their view, it was not handled expeditiously, and he lost his job, and so on. I happen also to know Mr. Domelevo. Happen to know him fairly well. And unless he has changed, he would not be swayed by personal considerations. I am 100% sure that he would not be swayed by personal considerations. There are others that I don't know, but I don't have to know all of them. And indeed, it is not my judgment of the personalities which is important. It is the public perception, and indeed, is their integrity which is at stake.
Okay.
At the end of the day, we will be sure about what decisions they make and would interpret those decisions in the light of what we know.
Okay.
Because even at the end of the process, we will still not know what the allegations against the Chief Justice were.
True.
Even at the end of the process, we will still not know.
Yeah.
So on what basis are we going to make those crucial judgments as to whether she has been treated fairly or not treated fairly?
Right.
But then immediately, as my brother here did, there's an extension to this case. There are those who are saying that, oh, if the president is allowed to succeed with this one, he will then move on to the Electoral Commission.
Shudikecham said it.
Well, but many others have said the same thing.
No, but, well,
many others have
I
said
heard him say it.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, this is my position. My position is very clear. If indeed it is true that something has happened at the office of the Chief Justice warranting her removal, and she's removed, and there is evidence, clear evidence, that a similar thing or something as weighty as what has happened in the Chief Justice office has also happened in the Electoral Commission, why shouldn't the Electoral Commissioner go home?
Okay.
Why shouldn't she go home simply because the Chief Justice has been removed? You understand?
Right.
So the issue is not whether or not people on the Electoral Commission, especially its chairman, may face similar processes. The issue is whether or not there is conduct which will warrant the triggering of this process.
All right.
Or not. That's the issue.
Okay.
If there is conduct which would warrant it, then it must be triggered.
All right.
That's all.
All right, so let's see how the process unfolds. But there's been quite a number of messages. I'll just read about 3 of them, and then we'll take a breather. No, because you've done one each. We have other issues to talk about.
You had more minutes.
You decided to do a few minutes.
But
so
if he has a few,
he had more minutes, and I've got some points here.
Oh, if you can do that. If you can do that briefly. But let me just do this briefly. So, Brad Kankan from University of Ghana sends a message. It says that the government's removal of the Chief Justice is unconstitutional. We must evaluate our constitution. The CJ's dismissal lacks integrity. There was no application of the audit pattern rule, which states that one should listen to the other side and respond before making a decision that is unfavorable to them. The Chief Justice was unable to exercise her right to self-defense in this way. This has the potential to significantly impact our country's democracy. He comes back and says the government's removal of the Chief Justice...
You know that this is not true.
It's not true. It's factually inaccurate.
It's factually inaccurate.
Yes. I don't like to respond to every message that is being sent, but otherwise it's factually inaccurate. In fact, She was given 10 days to respond to whatever.
And in fact, the constitutional process does not even recommend that she should be given.
And the committee which has been formed would also grant her more than enough time for her to respond to the specific allegations that we raised against her. So, Otumfuo is also watching the show. He says, "Good morning, Moro. You don't need a lawyer to explain the Constitution to you. Indeed, let's remember the Constitutional Assembly that wrote the 1992 Constitution was populated by ordinary men and women in language that wasn't legalese. Article 146 is very clear. President Mahama has been accused by the MP of using opacity to remove a Chief Justice. Article 146 in and of itself is opaque. President Mahama didn't make the rules. He plays the game. In any case, what happened to the president being a conveyor belt? Remember President Otumfuo's very words during the Charlotte Osei affair? He's asking a question. Now, this one here, what's the name? So Ebo Bachman, again, Island Strategist, he says that the MPP must be born again. I have said it before and I say it again. The current MPP should be seen as an enemy of the state. They are like the proverbial bird that muddies the water upstream and then goes downstream to ask who did it. No government has undermined the laws of this country more than they have. Yet they go around pretending to be the ultimate protectors of the law. Remember how they treated Madame Charlotte Osei and even their own Mr. Polafoko, Kwame Njepo and others in blatant breach of the party's own constitution. And finally, with this one from Sani Saliu, he says, aside running commentaries on the matter with emotions and a fine English, those defending the beleaguered CJ don't quote anything from the 1992 Constitution to back their case. As we speak, there are two more petitions against the same CJ, making it 5 this year and 1 late last year. One should always leave the stage when the ovation is high. Good morning, Sani Salihu has sent that message. And finally, Musa Abatwa in Asawasi says, good morning, Moro. In any democratic society governed by the rule of law, no one, not even the Chief Justice, is above accountability. The idea that a prima facie case shouldn't even be considered simply because of a position, as some in the MPP are suggesting, is deeply flawed. Thank you, Mr. President Mahama, for your bold and principled leadership. Your decision to suspend the Chief Justice is in line with the advice of the Council of State, and it's a clear demonstration of a commitment to the Constitution and the rule of law. So we'll take a breather. When we come back, there's a lot happening with the...
But it's important to note that the membership of the Council of State includes a former Chief Justice and includes a former Speaker of Parliament and many lawyers. You know, that's not a pedestrian body.
Right.
You understand?
Okay. All right. So Annie's of the view that, look, if our guests still have a few more things to say, which they should be allowed to say. So we'll take a break, and it's just about 30 seconds. Please stay with us. This is Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. I'm here with Mr. Eugene Boachi Entry, who is the former Subing MP and also a staunch member of the New Patriotic Party. In fact, a founding member of the New Patriotic Party. You're not a founding member, okay. So a staunch member of the New Patriotic Party. And also Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. is the managing editor of the Insight newspaper. Please stay with us.
My friends, my name is Kelkit Toothpaste. Wow. I was made to be gentle on your gum but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kelkits, happy smile.
taste this holiday for 249 Ghana cedis.
Who are you? Charlie, I'll be you from the future. Who doesn't sleep on that slice of bready poor mattress anymore? Don't some slippers then follow me. It is part of the mattress we did the front there. Yeah? That'll be the mattress where the dead for me. Wait, what are you doing? Wow! No damage at all. Not only durable, but also super comfortable. Come on, try it.
Nothing day like ash foam. Enjoy full body support and unparalleled comfort for a restful sleep.
Don't forget your keys.
Get the premium sleep experience with mattresses from Ash Foam. Visit any of our showrooms nationwide or at ashfoam.com.
I'm a brands manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Mommy.
Michelle say. Fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Choco Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Choco Toothpaste, Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kel Choco Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Where to get Polytank?
Oh, and you're fine.
Go straight.
No, I want to left, right.
And that's right. Ghana na yewono. So when you do more, any data. Who knows? I beg, Mr. Polytank at all. And you think I'm in your bed to put your number or food to be at the enjoy crack.
We have a lamb customer.
Like the detective buys. Go to the distributor and you give the original Polytank. You get a sound?
Polytank, Papananka Sankasa.
You the answer to my prayer. You with me everywhere. You're my angel, miracle. You're all I need tonight. Give me shelter from the rain. You breathe life in me again. You're my angel, miracle. You're all I need to know tonight.
Attention all farmers, are you ready to take your crops to the next level? Introducing 3 effective organic composts that will revolutionize your farming practices. ACAP, KCAP and Aerocop brings to you the ultimate solution for your fertilizer needs. Introducing the ACAP Grade A, KCAP Equiafua Jinkwa and the Aerocop with cocoa blends, palm blend and mulch. These are made from locally sourced municipal solid waste, and these are the perfect choice for sustainable farming. Join the organic revolution today. Boost your crop yield, improve soil health, and support sustainable farming practices. Choose ACAP. K-Cup and Iricop organic compost for a greener and bountiful harvest. For your purchase and more information, call the numbers on your screen. Our products are endorsed by COCOBOD, Planting for Food and Jobs, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
Next season on the Gen Z show.
I want to have you saying, tell me no. What to wait?
My name is Lakisha. Join me and my guest live on Metro TV socials, Facebook, TikTok, IG, every Saturday at 12 noon. What's happening in our world as Gen Zs? Who is getting dragged? What the bloggers are saying, the latest settings in town, and of course, what's given and not given. And yes, why are Gen Zs getting fired in our corporate jobs in America?
Oh, hey Robin, how's everything?
Hey, everything's fine. I just wanted to let you know I won't be coming in today.
Really? Make a date with me on the Gen Z show, because I'm not doing this without you. Come on. Oops. Do you like what you see? Yes. Because this season is about to get more dramatic.
Why did you take it to another girl?
She's not real. It was an AI girlfriend. Okay. I won't.
So yes, I've got some interesting topics you wouldn't hear from anyone on the dating sites. The Gen Z show, I got you.
That some money and that she used to travel is not for. Let's look at it. Okay. That 261 for private travel. CJ traveled with and with the and public funds. Members of the judicial service. 3 categories of allegations and then another one.
So you're still live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. Now this show, remember, is also live on 94.1 FM. So if you want to monitor it whilst on the move, you can tune into your radio dial, 94.1 FM. It doesn't have a name. I've had a lot of you call me asking what's the name of the radio station. It doesn't have a name for now. It's just 94.1. But what I can assure you is that it's crystal clear. So just put it there and tell a friend to monitor Good Morning Ghana on 94.1 FM. So I have Mr. Kwesipra Jr. here, who is the managing editor of the Insight newspaper, and also Mr. Honorable, we call him Honorable Eugene Boachi Entry, who is the former MP for Subin constituency and also a former deputy minister for Works and House. And it's all about the Chief Justice and his suspension by the President, pursuant to Article 14610 of the 1992 Constitution. But before we get a concluding remarks from our guests, before we move on to some other issues, let me just remind you that the Business and Financial Times, in partnership with EcoBank, is bringing to you the 5th edition of the Money Summit. Now, a solutions-based event aimed at discussing investment and pensions management, thereby enhancing the financial sector and the overall growth of the Ghanaian economy. Now, this year's summit is on the theme, optimizing investment and pensions management strategies for sustainable retirement income and economic growth, and is scheduled for Tuesday, April 29, 2025, at the Kempinski Hotel right here in Accra at 9 a.m. The 5th edition of the Money Summit 2025 is powered by the Business and Financial Times in partnership with EcoBank Ghana and support from Social Security and National Insurance Trust, NIT, Stanbic Bank Ghana, that's Regulus Investment and Financial Services, Fidelity Bank Ghana, Glyco Pensions, World Vision Ghana, HR Certification Center, and also the Bank Hospital. The media partners are Metro TV, Asasi Radio, 3FM, City FM, YFM, Happy FM, and TV3. So kindly call 0209 457427. 0209-457427 for further details and inquiries to register your virtual seat to participate. In attendance at the venue is strictly by invitation. Individuals who would like to be part of this event can get more information from our social media handles at BFT Ghana, at BFT Ghana. So, I don't know, you still want to give your concluding remarks, or you want us to move on?
Yes.
Okay.
On some bits that Pratt was talking about. You know, there was an interlocutory injunction.
Okay.
That was filed by Honorable Vincent Eko Asifua, MP for Otumfuo Bankrono.
Okay.
It was filed on 27th of March, I think.
Right.
And that matter has not been adjudicated.
Okay.
Understand? I think it was adjourned to May next
Okay.
month. And that was to restrain the President and the Council of State from proceeding with the petitions.
Yeah.
And this is where some lawyers are of the view that it is contempt of the court, because the matter must be adjudicated first before the whole process, kicks in. And my view is, what is Article 2 of the Constitution saying? Article 2 of the Constitution is saying that anybody who flouts or breaches the provision of the Constitution, is culpable of high crimes or treason. So my only issue here is, though it's a constitutional matter, which had been filed before the court, and now we've bypassed or circumvented that process and gone ahead with the hearing by the Council of State. We are also gone ahead with the prima facie case being established against the Chief Justice, and it's now gone before a committee set up by the government, set up by the President. So that is where I'm a bit of education on.
No, actually, that matter has always been a bone of contention, a legal bone of contention between lawyers. I don't know whether the judiciary has made any conclusive statement or ruling on that matter. But if you listen to the public discussions or public discourse on this matter, there are different schools of thought. There are some who say when a constitutional matter, or when a constitutional duty ought to be performed, right, you cannot stop it unless, or a mere filing of a process in court, like what Eko Vincent Asifua has done in itself, does not stop the performance of that constitutional duty unless you're able to get a court warrant from the court order, from the court that says stop it. Then your hands are tied. But by merely filing a process in court and saying that I want an interlocutory injunction in itself does not stop your hands or stay your hands from performing your constitutional duty. But of course, there are also some who opine what you're saying.
That's fine. Also, the global info analytics bit. I mean, if you are to subject everybody's position in this country to poll or polling, I don't think many people will even last a week in their jobs. I don't know whether you get my point.
I get it.
The reason why I'm saying that is that a lot of people are very ignorant. We've recently seen somebody who was very vocal on the airwaves in the media space about MPs and what have you. He himself is an MP now, and his tone has changed. You understand? Yes, he's even complaining about his salary and what have you. You understand?
Yes.
So sometimes people sit outside. It's like whenever Ghana is playing, we have 32 million coaches.
Right.
Do you understand? Everybody has a formation that can win convincingly.
Right.
That's what happens in this country. Everybody has a view, has an opinion.
Okay.
But I don't think that if you're going to go by that same trend, most people will even last a month, in a week in their positions.
All right.
Because polls are just polls, and if people decide, not to like people, but either the way you speak, either the way you walk, either the way you talk, and what have you. So these things, Mr. Pratt.
All right. So I guess we should move on, isn't it? We should move on. So your
and also on the Kwaku Azab petition.
Okay.
I heard Honorable Felix Kwachi Ofosu saying that it was actually forwarded to a Chief Justice, and the Chief Justice advised President Akufo-Addo there was no prima facie evidence or case against it was forwarded to the Council of State, which established that there was no prima facie case against the Chief Justice. That's why I didn't proceed. That's what Kwachi Ofosu has been saying for the past couple of days.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's not talk. Let's use the next 20 minutes to look at some happenings within your developments within your party, the New Patriotic Party. We do know that your thank you tour is starting today, and I'm sure that there's some activity at the party headquarters. But that aside, your party has embarked on what they call a reformative exercise. Last week, the Okwe Committee submitted its report to the National Council, and as part of that, we're told there's a 9-member committee which has been formed to be chaired by Frank Davis, who's the head of your Legal and Constitutional Committee, to look at some constitutional amendments to your party. And we're also told that the Okwe Committee is only one. There's only one report which has been handed over to the national chairman of your party.
One copy of
the report which has been handed over to the national chairman of your party. But yesterday, there was a group that issued a statement, and it was reported by the Inside newspaper, Mr. Kwesi Pratt's Inside newspaper. And the pressure group is led by one Richard Edubwahine. And he was saying that the party, or he is demanding that the party makes full disclosure or to make the report or the Okwe Committee report public. Because this is the report of the party, the report of the people. Why are you hiding it from them? And if the people do not know what is contained in the report, how do you reform? So knowledge is key to the reformation exercise that the party intends to embark on. But we've also seen situations where in your party, people are making all kinds of comments and people are already pitching camps. And aside the timing of the pitching of the camp, we've also seen some movement, and people are reading all kinds of meanings into it. So the Doomfire incident, we've seen Kennedy Japan, we've seen Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and yesterday or so, I think over the weekend or so, Dr. Brian Champu was also there. People are reading all kinds of meanings into it. The party is asking you to put all of this thing aside and focus on building it. Now, again, part of the constitutional reforms, we've also seen as a letter which has been authored by a former presidential secretary to Kufuor, and also a former general secretary, and also one of the advisors in the Bawumia campaign, 2024 campaign. I'm talking about Mr. Kwabena Japan, so also, of course, a former flag bearer aspirant, and making some very interesting recommendations on what the party ought to do as part of its constitutional amendments to help it reorganize it, to make it better. Put all of this together. What exactly is the MPP on about?
Okay. As for the Okwe report, the report was actually presented to the National Council.
Okay,
not the chairman. Okay. The chairman is the head of the party.
Right.
He's the leader of the party. He convenes and chairs all meetings, but the meeting was presented to council. The council is the highest decision-making body outside of Congress.
Okay.
So it was submitted to council. That's fine. Council has further issued a release that is a very sensitive document. Of course, all reports are after you lose an election, but there are recommendations in there, suggested reforms that I'm sure will come out. For example, in 2008, when we lost that cliffhanger of an election to the late Professor J.E. Mills, may he so rest in perfect peace. The party had a committee led by or chaired by Dr. Jimmy Heyman, former South African High Commissioner, or former Ghana's ambassador to High Commissioner to South Africa. And as part of the recommendations of the Heyman report, that's what came out, led to the expansion of the Electoral College of the party at the time. That same report that was put, the Heyman report that was put together, asked the party to do a few things that the party didn't do, right? And that particular provision in the Heyman report has triggered a whole lot of constitutional amendments. Because in that report, chapter 4 of that report, and that's 2009. So we're talking how many years? 16 years?
Yeah.
16 years.
16, yeah.
For that, the report, clause 4 of that report, or paragraph 4 of that Heyman Committee report was that the party should have taken steps. It dealt with the expansion of the Electoral College from 10 persons from every constituency in selecting the flag bearer, and 100, 200 in the various constituencies in selecting the parliamentary candidates.
Right.
But we expanded it. That expansion brought about the 5-5, the 5 polling executives per every polling station.
Yeah.
So if we came to Subin, for example, 170 polling stations, I don't know if the EC added on at the last election. And then from there, you know, you multiply that, it gives about 835 coordinators, constituency officers, plus the MP. Yes, it's something about 900,000 plus.
Okay.
So what the Heyman Committee did was that he said this, expand now by the polling stations. Then, from 2010, the party ought to have taken steps to bring about the one member, one vote. You understand? And that is what has precipitated this or triggered
these proposals.
Yes, General Secretary Kwabena Japon's proposals, or Presidential Aspirant Kwabena Japon's proposals. But that's one set of proposals. There are others coming in where people feel that there's a lot of work that must be done to this constitution, because that's probably outlet and usefulness. For example, the selection of presidential candidates and parliamentary candidates ought to happen on the same day. The same referee, the same voter register, right? So do it in the same day. We don't want anybody becoming the presidential candidate and trying to manipulate days because he doesn't like this parliamentary candidate, or this parliamentary candidate, they support him or would not support him, so they find ways of fighting them. That's one such proposal, which is also gathering momentum. And then the second one that's also gathering momentum is about the expansion of the colleges for presidential and parliamentary. And the fact that a lot of people felt that these special delegates, the police station, they are the lifeblood of our party. You know, no matter which way you look at them, they form the lifeblood of this party. They are now in the trenches working for this party to become who we become, you know, win political power and what have you. People are also saying that we should expand it. We should do one vote. And it's true. Let me give you a brief scenario. Come to my constituency, for example. I have 2 living former members of parliament. I'm now the third. Right? I have Honorable Samson Kweku Boafo. I have His Excellency Isaac Osei, myself, and these 2 personalities that I mentioned, they don't have any vote in the constituency or any vote in the party.
Really?
And Isaac Boafo served 3 terms, Isaac Osei served 2 terms. And They don't have a vote.
You mean the former chieftaincy minister?
Yes. They don't have a vote.
Wow.
Yes. And how do you build a party like that when your creme de la creme don't vote? The people who have led these constituencies, you know, sometimes to power, and sometimes who have led it for, you know, 2 terms, you know, don't even have a vote. So all these are matters that will be taken into consideration. And people are saying, look, give these people the vote, let them vote in the constituencies when they are selecting the constituency executives, when they are selecting the regional executives, when they are selecting the national executives, and when they are selecting parliamentary candidates and presidential candidates. Give them the vote. I'm sure that forms part of the General Secretary Kwabena Ejepon's proposals, that there must be constituency caucuses. You go further to say government appointees. And on this, a very senior member of our party, a very senior lawyer in this country, drew my attention to one and said, look, how do you say that a government aide is a government appointee? Do you understand? If the person is an agency head, right, a director general, a managing director, a chief executive officer, what have you, those are government appointees, MNDCs. Those can form part of the college. The whole idea of expanding the current college is to deal with the incidence of financial inducements during elections, right? But some will say, oh, the NDC did it. You see, we cannot compare. I keep saying, why NDC continues to sometimes compare ourselves with the NDC? The NDCs are not a standard in this country. They are not our match. But if we have decided to see the NDC as a standard and our match, then that's fine. Do you understand? We are a political party. They are our opponents. They are our competitors. Why should we be using their processes to match ours or to judge ours? Do you understand?
Right.
And all this is matter. And the MPP, as it stands, must embrace reform.
Okay.
If we are to remain relevant and effective, we must embrace reforms. And these will be hard-biting reforms. We cannot continue the way we have continued since 2009. You understand? About 2009, when we did some serious amendments at trade fair about the expansion of the frontiers of our internal democracy, we've not touched the constitution in any hard way. But it has now come for time for us to look critically at it. We must introduce, comprehensive digitalization drive for members. A country that boasts of a Ghana card. What a difficulty in building our own database of the recent election. If it's anything to go by, we got about 4 million votes. So say half of that 4 million, 2 million are just supporters or just sympathizers, right? Who believe in our manifesto and our philosophy. They are not hardcore members. Put the 2 million in the hardcore bracket. You understand? What's the difficulty in getting these 2 million people to vote across the country to select our parliamentary candidates and our flag bearers?
Okay.
If you really want to deal with the instance of money, right, and cronyism and what have you in the party, we must give the power to the people. I'm one of the principal architects that brought about these changes as when I was the secretary for the UK group.
Right.
But let me tell you, what we did is what obtains in the Conservative Party in Britain. But in the Conservative Party, they also have a 2-tier system of selecting its leaders. That's who will eventually become the prime ministers. The MPs will select. But in Ghana, we cannot say same about MPs. So, because people say, why are you allowing the MPs? So let's take the MPs out. But the MPs will select. Maybe it starts with maybe 5, 7. They will vote. They'll be voting till they get to 3, or sometimes even 2. Then they let the main party come in and pick one for them. That was the process that was used in 2009. Or that was the process that we all adopted in 2009 because of the 17 aspirants in 2007, right? But for some reason, it was changed to 5, right?
Yeah.
Now, if the party is very serious now about dealing with all these apathy issues and the complaints from the bottom that, why should I? Look, I met a former constituency chairman who was talking to me about this. And said, look, you go to an electoral area in my constituency, not Subing, but the chairman's constituency. you have that electoral area, the market capitalization of that electoral area is less than 10,000 Ghana cedis. Somebody goes to vote, and their TNT to take them from A to B to the polling center is about 15,000 Ghana cedis. Just one day. So the rest, right? And this is your stronghold. This and that is what lets some of the apathy in our strongholds. So if you really want to deal with it, the only way to deal with these are the numbers. Let's boost the numbers. Right? It's like trying to bribe somebody in a general election. If you want to bribe, go and bribe. Do you understand? But if you are dealing with an electoral college, it's easier for people to manipulate it as to how they want it. So all these things are going to form part of the reforms that the committee is going to look at. And we must also deal with party unity. Anytime the MPP is divided, we come back home. Look at 2000. All hands were on deck. J. Kufuor, after 30 years in the wilderness, was elected president of this country and sworn in on the 7th of January 2001. Right? 2008, divisions because of the presidential primaries. 70 people contesting. Right. And then we lost. We went home. And then we came back in 2012. Yes, contested election. Went to the Supreme Court. Came back in 2016. We all got united and we won power. So unity is also key in getting all members on board. This you do me, I do you will not take this party to power. All right. And every MPP person must bear that in mind. He's not an MPP person. Let me talk. It's MPP. Let me talk. We see he's not MPP. So let me talk about MPP matters. He's a founding member, maybe, yes, some time ago, but no. Let me talk. He just said that he formed a Danko. Yes, so let me talk. When I finish, you come in.
He's minding his own business.
Yes, no, but he's not minding his own business. You think he's minding his own business?
Please try and land in a minute. So because our time is on.
So we cannot preach unity and practice exclusion. You understand? We know, and you've seen it, that the 2024 election, we went into that election with a very fractured front. And that's why we are where we are. You understand? So this is the time. And yesterday, I think I heard the youth organizer, Salam Mustafa, on TV, echoing those sentiments. That we need unity. That's what the time you say, oh, this man, this, he said this, he did that. And also our utterances. The Ghanaians are patiently waiting. They are waiting to see the kind of leaders we bring to them to lead the party and also to contest as president. Before they say, oh, these people have learned their lessons. Ghanaians are patiently waiting for us. If we don't get our act together, then it's a futile exercise. And then we need 2028 too. The 2028 election will not be handed over to us. You must bear that in mind. It will not be handed over to us. We must work for it with discipline, data, and direction. These Ghanaians are waiting, right? I was listening to the minority leader now, Honorable Afenyo Makoma, way here, talking about his days at UCC, when every person on campus was an MPP admirer, or an MPP supporter, or an MPP member, and how the NDC has rebranded itself to attract, those kinds of people in our system. This is the kind of leadership that the party people are waiting for. So 3 key things. Party reforms, very key. We should not joke with it. If majority says one vote, that's what we should go for. Right? The party must be in readiness to register its members. We have Ghana card now. We shouldn't be an uphill task. 2 is about unity. How to unite the party now that we are in opposition. And we must all come on board to work for the party, to put it where it belongs. And number 3 is winning election 2028. These are the 3 key tasks facing the party. I don't have to read your quill report. You understand? I don't need to read it. I'm a participant in the process. So I know what it takes for us to win. So if you're able to put these 3 things in one basket and work tirelessly towards it, this party will come back strongly and stronger in 2028.
All right. Okay, so we have just 5 minutes to go.
Well, 5 minutes.
I mean, I remember a few things.
Yes.
And one of them was simply when the New Patriotic Party told us that they were going to their members at different levels of party organization to listen to them about how they performed so badly in the last elections. And that on the basis of the findings, the party will be reformed to meet the challenges ahead of it. And this is why they claimed that they formed the Mike Oquay Committee. Now, the Mike Oquay Committee went around the country, listened to the members, wrote a report, and according to the party, it prepared only one copy of the report, only one copy of the report, not two. And that one copy of the report was presented to the National Council. So it will stand to reason that Michael Quay himself doesn't have a copy of the report which he wrote.
He may have a soft copy.
Yes, a draft.
He has a draft. A soft copy.
Yeah, but that's not the report which he presented.
Okay. But I cannot get a copy. He's a chairman.
Okay. But that is not the report. No, based on what they told us. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I'm just wondering why it has become so necessary to prevent the people who spoke, whose collective wisdom ended up in the report from seeing what they said. You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
The people spoke. Say, you told me this and that and that, but you will not see what you said. Very strange. Very, very strange. Okay? Now, they are talking about reforms, rebuilding the party and so on. Can that be done in secret?
Obviously not.
There's a certain assumption that, look, you won't see the report, but you rebuild the party. How do you rebuild this party without seeing the report, which forms the basis for the recommendations which will be implemented as the reforms in the party? I don't understand. Then there's common sense. Have you seen anybody hiding things about him or her which are good? Have you seen some before?
Not at all.
The things we hide are the things that are terrible, that we don't want people to know. So this report must be something else. What is in the report that should be hidden from members and the public? I don't know. Now, I recall that the NDC set up a similar committee, which came to be known as the Kwesibotre Committee.
Yeah.
And I remember the agitation from within the MPP for the Kwesibotre report to be made public. So as for the Kwesibotre report, they insisted that it should be made public. As for the Michael Quay report, it's a secret. I just wonder what is happening. Then they've set up a 9-member committee which is going to make recommendations for constitutional review based on the report. But they don't have copies of the report.
So, but those parts will be published.
Also, parts of the report.
Oh, yes.
Parts. Who determines which parts are published?
Let me ask you something. If you went and spoke with President Otumfuo, and as part of his submissions to the committee, certain things bordered on national security, you cannot obviously not publish it. Information, especially that has not been, declassified. For example, we know the Boko conflict. He was a sitting president, and all the things that happened. It would not be appropriate for President Otumfuo.
You are coming back to what I said earlier.
Okay. Then let me continue.
The things you keep secret are the things which will be harmful. They are the terrible things that you don't want people to know.
Even to the country.
So you are coming back to that. In any case, yesterday, I read a newspaper report by some members of the party who are screaming that they are working at the headquarters, not at the constituency, and haven't been paid for some time. And we're just
but this is not sensitive. If somebody has not been paid, it's not sensitive.
No, I'm not talking about sensitivity now.
Okay.
I'm talking about the situation in the party.
They've not been paid?
Yeah, they're working at headquarters, they haven't been paid, and they're complaining.
Since when?
Since January.
Since January.
And in fact, one of them actually put on his Facebook.
No, it's all over social media. Yeah. So what he's saying.
One of them actually put on his social media page that you haven't paid us. We are working for no pay. And yet, you've been able to mobilize resources for a thank you tour. And the person didn't understand. This on social media, I'm not the one saying it's an MPP member apparently working at the headquarters. Saying that you haven't paid us. We haven't been able to eat. We don't know how to look after our children.
So why have the salaries stopped coming from January?
Pardon?
Why have the salary stopped coming from January or allowances?
So they are the only people who would know.
Okay.
I have some ideas, but I'm not going to say them publicly. You know.
You have some ideas.
Yeah, I'm not going to say them publicly.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. But so this is the state at the headquarters of the party.
Okay.
Okay. But that is not all. You know, as we speak now, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
The leader of the party now is the Mr. Stephen Intim, national chairman.
He's always been leader.
In election time.
He's always been leader.
Okay.
He's always been leader.
So even when you're in government?
Okay.
No, let Kwesi finish, or unless he wants to give me the time to come in.
No, but
let me make this point very, very clear.
You have a time for 10:30.
Otherwise, it'll take us off. No.
In fact,
It's
as
actually
of now, the party ought to be looking at election 2028. So, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is no longer the candidate of the party.
Well, true.
In fact, he's in the same position as all the others that we hear want to be presidential candidate.
Yes.
He's the same position as, should I mention the names?
Brian, Ken.
All of them.
No, but he was a leader. Dr. Bawumia is the immediate past presidential candidate of the party.
Yeah. Yes.
So in that sense, he's different from...
So he will have a treatment...
No, but I have not said that.
But that's the point I'm making.
You were saying that it's no different from... And I'm saying, no, you cannot compare him to the rest because, at least for now,
you should
on record, Dr. Bawumia is the immediate past presidential candidate of the party. That's for clarification, that's all. I've not said you should be given special treatment, no.
Okay. But your words are interesting. Immediate past.
Yes.
Presidential candidate.
Yes.
You should be careful not to give the impression that the party machinery is rallying behind him against the others.
So who is doing that?
You are going on a thank you tour. He is the face of the thank you tour. The whole party machinery appears to be rallying behind him.
Yeah, but he led the party in the last election.
No problem. Am I quarreling with that?
Okay.
I'm not.
Yes.
I'm saying that the party ought to be careful not to create the impression that is a rallying point.
Right.
And that if that impression is created, it only worsens the situation in the party. Because as we speak, we know of a faction in the party which is saying that let's break away. There's nothing left in this party for us. Let's break away, let's form a new party. That's a group, there's a group there. As we talk, we know that there are people who want to stay in the party, but who think that the party has strayed from its core values and needs to return to its core values. Okay? And there are people like Adwasafu who are insisting that Bawumia or nothing.
But she's entitled to her opinion.
Have I said she's not entitled to her opinion?
Adwasafu is a member of the party, and that's her view.
I'm not saying she's not entitled to her opinion. All I'm saying is that that trend exists.
When something interesting comes out, then you want to...
No. I'm saying that trend exists. That's all I'm saying. Yes. She's entitled to her opinion, but that trend exists.
Yeah. Obviously, please, if you can...
And then there are the Nyahota Macros and others who think that this party needs a severe cleanup. Severe cleanup. Should be cleaned with detergent. Proper. In order to make it attractive again.
Acid, mom.
Acid.
Okay, so
you're right. So all I'm saying is that you guys manage your affairs well.
Which is very important.
Multi-party democracy is built with healthy political parties. Yes. No parties on the limb. True. And this morning I read the headline, I nearly collapsed. There's one of your MPs who, after 3 months, is saying that Muhammad has failed in the fight against Galamsey.
All right.
Did you read that headline?
Yes, I've read it.
I'm so surprised. Why are you
surprised? But are you expecting an MP to go and say Mahama is succeeding in dealing with Galamsey?
No.
Are you expecting that?
Just shut up, because everybody knows. Because everybody knows.
Shut up,
No, Master. On this matter,
shut up,
everybody knows that the problem cannot be solved in 3 months.
But because of the propaganda that was waged by the NDC against the MPP in 2024, and they said that why couldn't Otumfuo place a state of emergency on the nation? Why could the Otumfuo deal with Galamsey? They would deal with it in 3 months. It's the thing they said.
So are we to take the statements which have been made by this your guy who was at Ghana Gas, what is his name? As the party position?
No, that's his team.
That's an individual position.
Yes.
And there are many individuals in the NDC who also said things.
So let me just do this.
So why are you dwelling on that?
They were MPs, they are ministers now.
Our time is up, unfortunately. So Kojo Boafo, UK, says, good morning, Boro. With the kind of constitution used in Ghana, the refusal of the president to refer the petition to the Council of State could have led to a constitutional crisis. A decision not to now, you see the one who's might be subject to judicial review, potentially resulting in the court's ruling that the president must comply with the Constitution. If the Constitution clearly outlines the president's role in referring impeachment petitions to the Council of State, the president is obliged to follow the constitutional procedure. Refusal to do so could could have significant constitutional implications. Kojo, thank you very much for this. And finally, Hamzi. Alhaji Hamza Pickfarm says that, good morning, my brother. My brother, I have to listen to many lawyers who spoke about the suspension of the Chief Justice, and no one, and I will repeat, no one has been able to provide any evidence of wrongdoing against the president. Let us not forget that President Mahama swore an oath to defend and protect the Constitution of this country. My name is Aldo Moro. A very big thanks to Mr. Kwesipra Jr., managing editor of the Inside newspaper, and Honorable Eugene Boachi Entry, former MP for Subing. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Every day in Ghana, a quiet revolution unfolds. A story of transformation, resilience, and unwavering commitment to creating a cleaner, greener nation. This is the story of the Jospon Group of Companies, a company at the heart of Ghana's sanitation revolution. It began in 2006 with one man and one manual tricycle. The mission was simple yet profound: to tackle Ghana's growing waste management crisis and restore dignity to those who worked in that space. From modest beginnings, Zoomlion grew steadily, embracing innovation and the spirit of service to become a trailblazer in integrated waste management across Ghana. But collecting waste was not just the beginning. The Jospon Group envisioned a future where waste was not just disposed of, but transformed. In line with this vision, we embarked on a revolutionary journey to establish integrated recycling and compost plants, ARICOPs, in all 16 regions of Ghana. President Mahama's vision called for a reset of our national development priorities, placing environmental sustainability and sanitation infrastructure at the core of Ghana's progress. His belief that effective waste management infrastructure is fundamental to public health, job creation, and agricultural development became a rallying point. The Jospon Group has answered that call, bringing to life a nationwide network of ARICOPs that process waste into valuable resources, compost for farming, recycled plastics for industry, and clean energy solutions for communities. These plants are not just about waste, they are about wealth creation, food security, and empowering local economies. We pioneered the construction of state-of-the-art wastewater treatment plants. These facilities process liquid